where we're currently at and where we're heading, let's say next year with the infamous halving occurring in 2020, what's your take on this crypto market?
Buy when it's low, just I remember the dip when it was 121 and it went down to, I think, $6. That was
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a massive dip. I saw somebody post the other day, if you can't handle the 50% drawbacks, or you don't deserve the 5,000% returns. And
Exactly.
so what you need to know is Bitcoin has added a zero to its net worth every 2 years since its inception. And while it may skip and be a third year this year, it's still going to grow, because when you understand the dynamics that it's supply and demand, and it's kind of like I heard somebody say of Picasso paintings, that every 10 years, one Picasso painting gets damaged, stolen, or burned, or whatever. So every year, every 10 years, Picasso paintings become worth more because there's less of them. And that same supply and demand principle applies to the 1965 Mustang. They become more valuable every year because one gets wrecked every year, and they're now $500,000 a piece. Why? Because there's more demand for them and the supply is decreasing. I read the white paper when it came out in 2008. I invested in my first Bitcoins in 2011 when it was like $7.38. I only put like $500 in, but that $500, 18 months later, by the way, I didn't tell my wife I did that at the time,
Smart man.
She was like, but when it hit $432, I of course told her I was the smartest guy in the room, but 500 turned into 30,000, and I thought I was golden. Unfortunately, if I would have held on to that 500, it'd be worth about 2 or 3 million today. So lesson learned. But
in today's show, I'm bringing you this exclusive interview with CMDX founder Tom McMurrin. CMDX is the fastest growing health rewards cryptocurrency in the world, and also happens to be the sponsor of our show. So sit back, relax, go grab your favorite beverage, and enjoy the show. Here at Crypto News Alerts, I drop a brand new episode every day. So be sure to smash that subscribe button and click the bell icon to receive notifications of the latest premium crypto news. And we are live. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
Awesome. Honor, as always, to have you here. For those that don't know, this is the show's sponsor, CMDX, the fastest growing smart rewards cryptocurrency in healthcare niche. And very interesting fella, major impact on for me inside this crypto space. So it's truly a pleasure to finally have you on the show. I'm very eager to get the audience to get to know you better. Like I've known you for the past few years. Why don't you start by sharing with everybody a little bit about your background and how you got into cryptocurrency?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be glad to. Thanks for having me on the show. Love being your sponsor. And as I always say, your show is the best 10 to 15 minutes of my day, man. It's like crack. I got to have it every day. I love it. But just very excited to be online with you today. A little bit of background. Been a serial entrepreneur for 30 years, probably longer than that. Started a lawn business when I was in 9th grade. So I've always been unemployable. I just can't stand having a boss. So I've always loved the internet and finding solutions. I think the true destination of an entrepreneur is you're trying to solve people's problems and you're trying to create a business model that you can generate, revenue from. So been very much an entrepreneur, married 28 years, have 3 beautiful children that are successful in their own right. Wrote an Amazon best-selling book on cryptocurrency back in 2015 when there was only one other on Amazon. So it wasn't terribly hard to be an Amazon bestseller at the time. I jokingly tell everybody I got my plaque for it, my gold medal. Anyway, and I just, I have a love for family and freedom and being a stay-at-home dad, and ultimately sailing, fishing, put all 4 of those together and watch a football game on a sailboat. I'm the happiest guy on earth. But I don't know. Like I said, I've read over 400 books. I believe that we have a powerful supercomputer between our ears, and the more input we give it, the more powerful we can be in creating solutions and figuring out world problems. And so that's what we're trying to do with CMDX.
Awesome. Love it, brother. So you got into crypto back in 2015. What was the market back then? I never even heard of Bitcoin back then. Who introduced it to you? And I'm just curious, what was the market like then compared to now?
So I ran a publishing site, and in '99, somebody submitted an article to me on digital currency. It was a company out of Costa Rica. I think it was called Liberty Coin or something like that. They ended up getting shut down because they were using it for nefarious reasons. But I read the white paper when it came out in 2008. I invested in my first Bitcoins in 2011 when it was like $7.38. I only put like $500 in, but that $500 18 months later. By the way, I didn't tell my wife I did that at the time.
Smart man.
She was like, but when it hit $432, I of course told her, and I was the smartest guy in the room. But 500 turned into 30,000, and I thought I was golden. Unfortunately, if I would have held on to that 500, it'd be worth about 2 or 3 million today. So lesson learned. But I really like the idea of an independent currency, decentralized people's currency. I just feel like money has created a new form of slavery in the world, and debt is definitely the ultimate, form of slavery. I think the Latin term for mortgage is lifelong death. I don't know if that's what it means in Latin. So whoever created the word mortgage was kind of a funny person, had a funny sense of humor. But I've just been involved in it, and I've watched it evolve like the internet. I was involved in the internet from 1990 to watched it go through the bubble. The interesting thing about this, Justin, the same 10-year phase, the internet comes out in 90, it burst in 2000, and then we have cryptocurrency, blockchain technology comes out in 2008, and it burst exactly in 2018. There's a direct parallel between these two technology movements, but I think blockchain and crypto is just going to be the most disruptive thing we've seen in our lifetime by a long shot. I mean, 5 to 10 times bigger than the internet, I believe.
Right on. They call this the internet of money, and very comparable this time in the market where the internet was maybe back in like the late 80s or early 90s. Most people probably still not familiar with crypto, let alone have a crypto wallet at this point in time. That's very interesting that you got in Bitcoin back when it was just a few bucks. Holy moly. Very few people had that vision to see that far ahead. So how'd you get into CMDX as far as what led you to this niche with healthcare? Why are you so passionate about it? And I know your community is diehard. A lot of the interactive people on my channel come from the CMDX community. They love you. They love what it's about. A lot of them are earning Bitcoin. So I know there's a lot of incentives to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, CMDX, funny story, I was on the way to the general store one night, and I'd been looking for a way to create a cryptocurrency company and trying to find a solution. And my wife wanted chocolate. And so I was headed up to the general store in Palmetto. And on the way there, a domain name popped in my mind, just like every entrepreneur does. And I went to GoDaddy and bought the domain. It was available. And my wife got chocolate and I got a domain name. But came back and started what at the time was CoinMD. Was the first brand that we launched with, kind of like YouTube. We went through a pivot ourselves and changed our business model from centralized to decentralized. But I guess what influenced it was I believe that incentive programs, rewards programs, is the best business model for cryptocurrency, because you can reward people. Basically, you can print money. I'd say this out of thin air. You can say you're basically your own Federal Reserve when you launch your own cryptocurrency, and you can influence people. And now these coins that you print can end up trading on an exchange and being convertible into Bitcoin, which can turn back into real money. So it is real money, at the end of the day. And, when you have that conversion capability. But CMDX is, when you look at our brand name, MD is at the center of it, which is the most recognized initials in the health field. And then, I always say C stands for the consumer. We put the consumer first, and X stands for really the intersection of, and you relate with this, the difference between sick care and healthcare. Healthcare means you go to the gym and you do your jujitsu and you eat healthy and you do all this stuff. Sick care means you sit in a car, rush hour traffic, eating fast food, and you wait until your health collapses and you end up in the hospital having to use health insurance. And so I wanted to create a program that would incentivize people to make healthy decisions. But I also wanted to create a program that incentivized people to share cryptocurrency. Because, it's one thing to earn points at a grocery store, you can go get discounted gas for that, or earn airline miles and you can go get a discounted airline ticket with your airline miles. but what do I do with the cryptocurrency when I've earned it for exercising or running a mile or sleeping for 8 hours or buying health food or filling out a health style profile? What can I go do with that once I've earned it? And so we've just recently launched our provider network, where we call ourselves a social marketplace. And it allows people to spend their crypto. So if you're a health provider, you can do business with our customers as long as you're willing to accept 25% in CMDX. And if you don't want to spend your cryptocurrency, you can go to an exchange and you can sell it and turn it into Bitcoin. So we just kind of created this incentive mechanism where we're influencing positive, healthy sharing behaviors. And that's kind of the whole basis behind, I like to tell people, you understand this, we're like an AARP, but we have our own cryptocurrency. We're like an American Association of Retired People, but we have our own cryptocurrency to influence people for buying behaviors, exercising behaviors, et cetera. So that's kind of the influence of it. And we're at 283,000 members right now. We're growing, by 100 members a day, and that's increasing exponentially. And all I just really want to do is help lift people out of poverty, help people live healthier lifestyles. Great story. One of our ladies bought in the Philippines. And I mean, I got people that are making $100 to $500 a month. That's a big deal in the Philippines. And I had one of my ladies, she bought a gas stove, and it was the first time she's ever owned a gas stove. She could now boil her water so she could clean her dishes and have clean water to cook with and clean water for her children.
Incredible.
And that's a big deal. So it kind of, I've let it take a life on of its own, Justin. I thought first it was going to be something for America, but then I realized it's not. It's for the emerging growth countries, the 3 billion people that aren't online yet. That is our target market.
Awesome. Love what you're doing and what it stands for, what it represents. As you said, a few $100s a month is life-changing to so many families, especially across the world. So you launched very successfully. How does one go about having a great idea? Like you manifested this idea, on your way to pick up some chocolate for your wife, to actually implementing it. What does it actually take to go about launching your own cryptocurrency and building something the way that you did? Just realistically, I know it's probably not the easiest thing to do, but I'm just wondering, how does one go about turning something from an idea to launching their actual crypto?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, you gotta, number one, you gotta have a whiteboard and you gotta draw. I have the original image of the whiteboard and I implemented about 95% of that whiteboard image, but I knew the elements that I needed to have. I needed to have a marketplace. I needed to have a blockchain. I needed to have a wallet. So I kind of drew these things on the board, and then I just went to Google and I said, yeah, who creates cryptocurrency wallets? Who creates this stuff? And, found some programmers. The first batch of programmers I had, went through a lot of our money and produced a kind of a mediocre project. And then you learn and you find the right programmers. And then that's really what we did. But I think it just takes a lot of courage. It does take some vision to see the moving parts that actually work together to make it all work. And then you got the compensation structure, and you got to influence the right behaviors. And then you got to make sure, people aren't gaming your system and using it in the wrong way. And then you learn about KYC, and you got to make sure you got IDs on everybody. And then you learn about KYT, which is know your transactions, because you don't want people using your currency for bad, nefarious things. And man, I tell you, it just, I knew 25% of what I knew. I knew maybe 20% of what I know now when I started it. And so the other 80%, I just broke things and moved forward and learned and made mistakes. And I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I'm not afraid to try stuff and pivot. I think there's a great book out by one of the founders of PayPal. I think it's zero to one or something like that. But it's an awesome book that talks about pivots and how you got to get feedback loops from your audience as quickly as you can. And if you get negative feedback, you just have to change. We changed our business. I've changed our business model so many times, and but we finally got to where it's really working. And you want to create a platform, and that brings up another subject, that you want to create a platform like Amazon, where people can log in, get what they want, solve their need. Like, I live in the country, so I want to shop, and I don't want to I want it delivered the same day. Amazon does that for me now. PayPal, or PayPal, or that's a platform that allows me to pay. You know, it's so we're creating a platform where people can log in, share, they can learn, and they can earn and improve their health and wealth at the same time. And that's really what CMDX is all about. But any platform you create, you're creating a platform. You're creating a media platform, and you want people to solve a problem. And you're solving a great problem, educating people about cryptocurrency and getting them excited about it because it's a very exciting field.
Absolutely, 100%. So talking about the current market, last night, I mean, I woke up and I'm like, holy crap, Bitcoin dipped to $6,500. What do you make out of the current state? Is this something we should be panicking about, or is it something we just need to wait out? But where we're currently at and where we're heading, let's say next year with the infamous halving occurring in 2020, what's your take on this crypto market?
Buy when it's low, I remember the dip when it was 121 and it went down to, I think, $6. That was a huge,
Holy shit.
That's a massive dip. I saw somebody post the other day, if you can't handle the 50% drawbacks, or you don't deserve the 5,000% returns.
Exactly.
So what you need to know is Bitcoin has added a zero to its net worth every 2 years since its inception. And while it may skip and be a third year this year, it's still going to grow, because when you understand the dynamics that it's supply and demand, and it's kind of like I heard somebody say of Picasso paintings, that every 10 years, one Picasso painting gets damaged, stolen, or burned, or whatever. So every year, every 10 years, Picasso paintings become worth more because there's less of them. And that same supply and demand principle applies to the 1965 Mustang. They become more valuable every year because one gets wrecked every year, and they're now $500,000 a piece. Why? Because there's more demand for them and the supply is decreasing. And that's one thing, when you know the dynamics of Bitcoin, you just don't panic. I don't even look at the price every day. I mean, the only reason I see the price or hear the price is because I watch your show. But, I think that I'm looking 3 years out. I believe in 3 years it will be 250 to 500, but I also believe that there'll be 10 to 25 cryptos that are bigger than Bitcoin, and I'm talking $1 trillion market cap cryptos that are going to be issued by the big players. Because the biggest players of the internet did not come out until after 2000. The biggest Facebooks, the Airbnbs, the Ubers, all of those companies came out after the crash of 2000. And I believe the same thing's going to happen now that we've seen what Bitcoin can do. It's validated the business model. It works. It's the most secure financial network in the world. I think where we're at right now is, and Peter Diamandis, I don't know if you've read his 6 Ds of disruption, but we're already in the digitization phase. So money's already been digitized. 90% of the transactions we do are digitized. But then you go through this deception phase, like the internet went through and Bitcoin went through in 2018. And the next phase is called disruption. And Peter Diamandis says that's where you want to insert yourself. The last 10 years, and I forgot to mention when you said getting in early, what people think or how'd you know, you used to tell people in like 2015 you're involved in Bitcoin, and they'd walk away from you because they'd be like, oh, you're a drug dealer, or a porn person or whatever, because you're using Bitcoin. But nowadays you tell people you're in Bitcoin and they're like, oh yeah, I want to know more about that. And so really seeing the tide turn. But it's such an exciting space, and honestly, I think it's easier to understand than the internet. I think, and I think it's going to be a lot more lucrative for us. But if you will build a portfolio, we'll talk about portfolios, but if you'll start diversifying, I believe that 80 to 90% of the ones that you invest in will probably go out of business or will never do anything. But those 10 to 20% will make you a millionaire. I think we're just at that phase. What Peter Diamandis said, he said, in 5 to 7 years, 3 billion more people are coming online because of 5G satellites. The internet economy is going to double. And you know what? Those people are going to be getting a Samsung phone or an Apple phone or some Google phone. It's going to have a cryptocurrency wallet already on it. 3 billion people, the first access they have to transact money is going to be because of their mobile phone, and the cryptocurrency wallet's already on the phone. They're not going to be using banks.
Exactly. And by next year, 5G will be rolled out ultimately worldwide, the antennas and such are already built with the infrastructure. So it's a coming with or without you. You know what I mean? Now, you mentioned in a couple, you said 2 to 3 years, you wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin was 250 to 500. Can you clarify if you mean 250 to $500 or 250,000 to $500,000?
Lots of zeros, and that's conservative. 250,000 to 500,000 is conservative, I think, just because the trust is the financial is the technological backbone it's built on. And just to give you an idea of how powerful the Bitcoin backbone is, it is probably 1,000 times more powerful than all the supercomputers in the United States combined. You would need all of the energy that Switzerland uses in an annual basis and consolidate all that energy into a 10-minute period to even be able to hack Bitcoin. And that's if they didn't see it coming and shut down the network to prevent you from doing it. But it's so powerful. But I think the amount of people that are going to be using I think Bitcoin honestly is going to become the coin for the rich and famous. Only because I know when it gets busier and more congested, the transaction fees are going to be ridiculous. And so when you're transferring $1 million, it won't be a big deal because you're going to pay $25. But if you're paying $25 to transfer $100, that's going to be a big deal. And so I think it's important that people understand, get into it now. And I'd say at a minimum, if you did anything, if you never bought any other crypto, I would buy as much Bitcoin as you could, because I believe it's going to go. But I do believe in my building portfolio is take 50% of what I put in my portfolio. I put it into the top 10 biggest cryptos by market cap. And then the other 50%, I just literally throw darts at the top 90, the other 90. I mean, I don't know which one's going to make it. I mean, they're in the top 100 for a reason. And that's the way I would have done the internet. Looking back at the internet, I would have just invested in the top 100 internet companies by market cap, and I would have gotten lucky on a few of them.
Simple. So you're saying take 50%, diversify within the top 10 crypto projects. There was a reason they're within the top 10. Just hopefully there's not a BitConnect in there, because I remember at one point, like, BitConnect was one of the top cryptos.
There will be. I mean, some of the top 10 are going to go out of business. You know, I don't think I think they're top 10 right now, but I think the biggest ones are probably in the 90 or the bottom 500 right now. They're just getting launched. And I think that as you build, I would say the perfect portfolio is to have $100 in every single one of the top 100. Because if $100 in Bitcoin turned into 75 million, that it would have turned into 300 million. Because the CNBC article from 2017, when Bitcoin was $2,020 to $2,200, they said $100 invested in Bitcoin in 2010 would have turned into 75 million. Well, price adjust that to today's numbers, it'd be worth, you'd be worth 225 million. So take $100 and put it in 100 of them, or take $100 and put it in 500 of them. Just the next 500 that come out.
That'd be crazy.
I think that's the best strategy.
Wallet. How many crypto wallets would you need?
Oh Lord, you'd need an Excel spreadsheet to track all those passwords for sure.
Next question: what is your preferred recommended wallet for storing cryptocurrency?
Well, I mean, I use Electrum for my corporate stuff. It's because it's a programmable. You can do a lot from a programming standpoint. So if you're creating a merchant account system for your business, Electrum's great. I love Exodus. I love the simplicity of Exodus. I use blockchain for my wallet on my phone. I've used Monarch, and Monarch's kind of a cool wallet. Lumi is a cool wallet. I have 30 wallets. So, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of them.
How do you store all your recovery seeds? Is this all through memory, or do you have some safe somewhere?
No. You gotta have a safe. Yeah. You gotta have different, and I have redundancy too, as far as that goes, but I don't keep the majority of my coins in any one wallet, because you don't know what can happen. It's just like exchanges. I think I have 20 different exchange accounts, but when you're investing a larger amount of money, you can't risk one exchange going down. We've seen Poloniex just pull out of the United States, and we're seeing lots of changes going on. But I think it's important to have, again, diversification in exchanges to me is as much as diversification of wallets as it is diversification in cryptocurrencies.
I love it, because think of it this way. If you're, rich, you wouldn't keep all of your USD inside one bank. Right. At the end of the day, you're only secured up to 250,000. So you would probably have multiple institutions you're banking with. The same thing with crypto. If you own a lot of crypto, you don't want it all in one wallet. you maybe want to diversify. Like, for example, Satoshi, God forbid he's still alive. I pray he is, but who really knows? They'd probably have his crypto in multiple different wallets. I wouldn't imagine it's all in one. I could be wrong. I don't know. But if I was a very wealthy billionaire, like a so-called Craig Wright claims to be, I would diversify into, I'd probably have like $1 million in 1,000 different wallets at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's important. Diversification. I mean, Warren Buffett's diversified. Any top investor is going to tell you to diversify your money. And you know, I think that's one of the keys to, it was the keys to making money in the internet, because 80 to 90% of them are going to go out of business. And, you know, kind of what I hope, having all these wallets, I may forget about one wallet one day and then remember 20 years from now and go, oh, I forgot about that wallet. And there's like 4 billion in there, you know?
That'd be a great scenario. And what crypto projects, one or two that comes to mind, maybe that are not that popular, not in the top 10, that are on your radar right now that you've been watching or investing into, that you believe in, have good use cases?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know, I think one of the biggest ones that, and their name is slipping me right now, it's the credit one that's creating the credit profiles. And we know we've seen some of the ones that,
is that Ripio Credit Network or a different one?
Ripio is one of them, but there's another big one that came out early on that's done real well. But it's more of a reputation network where you get rated based on how you treat your Uber driver and how you tip your server. So it's kind of a two-way credit system rather than just one company reporting on you. It's how they, you've dealt with them, how they've dealt with you. Honestly, I've been so focused on the health side. To me, I'll tell you this, the best business, the best use case out there, in my opinion, is any company that's using it as an incentive or a rewards mechanism to influence behaviors. And that would be on an external business model. An internal business model would be like what Ripple's doing with the banks, or any companies using blockchain, Vimeo, or, companies, not Vimeo, what's the payment program starts with a V? All the kids use. My kids
talking about not BitPay in Bitcoin, or no?
No.
Oh, not PayPal, or
it's like a PayPal, but all the kids use it. Nice long phones, but it's got a blockchain base on it. But I think any company that uses blockchain, really just to track payments and create transparency. But the big one to me would be like a Procter and Gamble coming out with their own blockchain and their own currency to reward people for buying their products. They could use, or an airline says, I'm going to do a cryptocurrency airline frequent flyer mile that actually goes up in value. Wouldn't it be neat if all your frequent flyer miles went up in value like Bitcoin did?
Heck,
you travel for free. You travel for free the rest of your life, or a grocery store that rewards you. But I think when you have the ability to create a blockchain and use this value, whether you use a stable coin or you use a dynamic coin like we have that can fluctuate in value, I think the big deal is, how do you reward people with it? Once they have it, what can they do with it? How can they create value in their life? And I think the credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, I think all those companies are going to get in, Discover. I mean, they're all going to get into it because they recognize that it's a way they can literally print money out of air and reward people for positive buying decisions, positive behaviors. And I think that's like, you could create one for your crypto alerts, crypto news alerts. You could say, if you watch the show, or if you like, I can give you X number of tokens, things like that. We're kind of do that with you with CMDX, where we reward members for, sharing your show. So we're rewarding your viewers for saying, hey, share this with other people or make a comment on it or whatever. But I think that's the perfect mechanism. So if I'm looking at use cases, it just can't be complicated. And that's what Peter Diamandis says, the company that comes out with a simple, elegant solution that doesn't make people reinvent the wheel, that it's kind of like when AOL came out, America Online. That made the internet easy. That's why they got so big. They went and bought Time Warner. They were 4 years old and they bought Time Warner, a 100-year-old media corporation. But I think that's it. To answer your question, when I read a use case, I just say, are they influencing behaviors? How's it going to help improve their bottom line? And I will say this, that I think we're past the stage of all the companies that said our revenue model is an ICO. That's our revenue model.
Right.
And like, what are you going to do after that, after you run out of your ICO money, And so I think that there's got to be some combination of a fiat or some type of revenue model where people are paying for something and getting value. It's just like the internet. I mean, in the beginning, they said everything's gonna be free. Boom, everything blew up and went under. And now we pay for all of our internet. I mean, I probably have $1,000 a month of internet subscriptions I pay for per month now, everything you get charged for. So that would be my answer about the business models. There's so many great coins out there. I mean, I love Decred. I love, there's a whole bunch of them. I've got, like I said, I own probably 120 of them in my portfolio.
Nice. Good
Can't
stuff.
say I've read all the white papers, but I think I know a little bit about each one enough to say I've invested in it. I mean, I have ABBC coin. I don't even know what it does, but ABBC coin has been great,
Sounds good. I mean, it's the first 3 letters of the alphabet, and every day in the show when I do the top
See, they're going to be in the
day,
front page of the yellow pages with that name. They're gonna be successful because they're in the very top of the yellow pages.
Exactly. That's all you need to know, right? But yeah, I notice ABBC coin always pumping or dumping like every day within the top 10 when I do that in the show. I also love the idea of incentivizing people and rewarding them for their behavior. So who knows? I may just launch a crypto in the future, who knows what the future holds.
Yeah,
well, I appreciate you.
You have the audience. You think of somebody like an AARP, they would be natural because they have 90 million members, or a USA, what's the auto one? AAA would be a natural. They got 90 million members. Create a cryptocurrency and double your business. How can I use a cryptocurrency? Here's a great question. How can I use a cryptocurrency as an incentive mechanism to double my business? Because the cost of creating a cryptocurrency, you can create one for less than $5,000, really. Not even that much. I mean, you can go online and create a crypto for $150. But if you want to do it right, you may, for 150 grand, you can put your wallet in place. You can get listed on a decentralized exchange. You can create all your graphics and everything. But legitimately, I think you can start your own cryptocurrency company for about 150 grand.
Good to note. Appreciate the insights, and I appreciate you all for tuning in. Leave Tom some comments. If you have any questions for him you'd like to learn more about, let us know. I'm sure he'll respond whenever he gets the chance. And if you're interested in getting some free cryptocurrency, he's literally giving away $25 in CMDX tokens, and that's real world value. That's not hype. There's no gimmicks. There's a link right below this video in the description. Go there. It's going to take you to a page, enter your email, get the full details, follow those simple steps, and Tom himself will actually send you the cryptocurrency into your own wallet. It is on the Ethereum blockchain, so it's an ERC20 token, and it's pretty awesome. And who knows where the CMDX price could be 12 months, 24, or 36 months from now. So why not take advantage of it?
Yep. Awesome, man. I think that's a great idea.
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
As we say, live healthy and be wealthy. And I appreciate you having me online today.
Cool. My pleasure, brother. I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate your time.
Awesome, man.
All right. Peace.